Well, I was a scientist back at Livermore Lab in the 90s, and I ran Project Super HARP, which was the world's biggest gun. It was actually a hydrogen gas gun, and we designed it to launch things extraordinarily fast, large things really fast. And we did a bunch of shots for clients in the 90s that broke world records. And light gas guns are a technology that's been overlooked. They were a laboratory tool for many years. NASA still uses them because that's the only game in town to get super high speeds that are orbital. And they're much better than rail guns and powder guns and the other types of guns. And the data is all there. It's not a fantasy, it's all done. So Super HARP was 400 foot long. I was launched in 10 pounds, Mach 9. And we can do a lot bigger and better than that because the world record's about 11 kilometers per second. And so since then, my two founders and I have started a company called Quick Launch. And our one-trick pony goal is to deliver propellant into orbiting depots, orbiting gas stations in space. Because when you do the analysis of what it takes to go to Mars, it's about 1 million pounds of propellant per person to go to Mars and back safely. Okay. I took two studies. One was a von Braun study, one was a Boeing study. One was very aggressive, one was very conservative. And average those numbers, and it's about 1 million pounds. Now, that's what NASA didn't tell you, because if you do the 1 million pounds times $5,000 per pound, the current cost, it's $5 billion per person, $5 billion per person. And if you actually send a finite number of people, like 10 people, it's $50 billion just for propellant. So something's got to change, because otherwise we're never going to get there in our lifetimes or even our kids' lifetimes. And so that's why we decided to go ahead and start Quick Launch, because we can do it for 1/20th the cost. And we project anywhere from below $500 per pound, but I think 500 per pound is a good number, and I think we can do a factor of 2 better than that if things go really well. So it's an energetic event, but it's very transient. And we did the analysis of sonic booms because we were concerned that we would disturb the cetaceans and the crustaceans and the other animals. And the sonic boom is only about 140 dB, maybe 10, 20 kilometers away. And it's only for a few milliseconds. So that's like, a loud clap like that. It's no big deal. And it's less than an AC/DC concert. So people in the cetaceans will not only survive, but they'll do well. And of course, you clear the downrange. So whenever you do these shots, like in the ocean-based version, you clear the downrange for, say, 10 miles. You put a radar and just track the horizon, and then you have guys just clearing it. That's a standard procedure for Vandenberg anyway. Other places like that, they always clear the downrange. We intend to launch, basically 1,000-pound payloads with the big system, and that could be turned around in a couple of hours. It's not going to be done instantly. So that's one of the benefits. It's not really a good weapon, because guys are saying, well, you build me a giant weapon so I can, attack this country that doesn't like me today. I says, well, no, I really don't want to do giant global weapons. I do weapons, but for targets that merit it, not for some pipe dream scheme, crazy scheme to bombard our neighbors, right? And so you can turn an ordinary gun around, a weapon gun around in a few seconds, right? If it's a howitzer, you can shoot 4 or 5 times a minute. But with a giant, 100-meter, 1,000-meter-long gun, a hydrogen gun, it's going to take you a couple hours. And that's why it is never a good weapon, because the bad guys are going to see, oh, he shot once, now he's got to reload. It takes him 2 hours to reload, and so I'll just send a cruise missile, and next to set up his muzzle, and he's history, right? And so that's one of the nice things about this system is you don't have this confusion of the issue. Is it a giant global strike weapon? No, it's not. Just a big old long tube in the ocean to launch propellant day in and day out. It's a space pump or a space mule. Right now these guys are using thoroughbreds to access space. And we want to have a good old mule that's 1/20th or 1/10th the price. It takes things up to low orbit, deposits the propellant, which you need for exploration, and then you just repeat the process, because the gun is infinitely recyclable. The only parts that are going to be modified in the gun or swapped out every 500 shots would be the liner, because the liner is the part that contacts the projectile as it flies down the barrel, and there is a little bit of microscopic abrasion of that liner during each shot, and so every 500 shots you'd probably pull the liner, and that's routinely done on other systems. It's been done before.
So this can be for cargoes, and it's human rated?
No, it's not human rated. People will always use rockets, and so the rocket guys have nothing to fear from us. We will only deliver things they need. So the human, if you look at the mass bogeys, the human beings are less than 1%. They're typically 1 part in 1,000 of the actual mass. Okay, so we deliver the other 3 nines of mass at 1/20th the price, and the human beings would be delivered with SpaceX or Space Y or whatever space vehicle they want.